Hello and welcome from my little space here in Vienna. My name is Luise. I'm a literature student and writer. Today is finally the Q&A, questions and answers, and you sent me so many great questions. I'm just randomly going to pick some of them. I won't get to all of them, but I definitely read all of them and I was so excited that you took the time to ask something and I really appreciate it, so thank you. And the questions that I won't answer today, I can keep them for a part 2. And this is the second time that I filmed this Q&A because last time my phone just died in the middle of filming it and I didn't realize it, so I sat here for 45 minutes and talked to myself. So this is the second attempt. I hope it goes better than last time. Several people asked how old I am and one wanted to know if I was a millennial. No, I'm not a millennial, but I'm 28. I'm just 1 year too young for the millennials, but I don't really feel like Gen Z. There are many people making up these in-between names for the people who are born in between, and I think it's Sillennial is one that I heard and I can identify with that. The next question is, what is your favorite season? And it's definitely winter. And I've talked about it so many times. So if you've been here around for a while, you probably know this already. And my second favorite season would be autumn, then spring. Summer comes last. If I had to rank it, I'm so sorry for all the summer lovers, but I think there are enough people who love summer so much that I think it's okay that I don't love it that much. Do you hope to finish your master degree in 2026? If so, what's next? Another degree? If not, what's next after uni? This year is gonna be the year. I do not have an official deadline, which is nice, but also very challenging because you have to create your own deadline. But I'm very close to finishing the first draft, going through it again, and then I can hand it in to someone who's gonna read through it and help me with the correction. And what comes next, only the future knows, because I don't. I'm gonna finish my academic career for now. I'm gonna look for a job, and it's really more up to luck and whatever is available at the time. I definitely hope to do something with books and literature in one way or another, and I have been thinking of doing the library course to become a full librarian, but I've heard many negative things, and also that the job prospects at the moment are very, very bad, and it would be quite an investment, not only spending time on doing another education, but also spending a lot of money on it. So I'm not 100% sure. I'll just apply at different things, maybe at the Literature House and at different literature institutions here in Vienna, and hopefully someone wants me. I could stay at the library as an assistant for a little bit longer, but it's not a long-term solution because it's only a limited contract and I also don't earn enough. The next question matches the previous one a little bit because it is, when did you first understood that you want to become a writer? I think this idea came up quite early because I always loved books and I always loved writing my little stories. I think I was definitely in school, but I always had that feeling of a writer is something so far away and you have to accomplish so many things before you can call yourself a writer. I don't know if that makes sense. So whenever someone asked me when I was younger, I think I had the idea pretty solid in my head. I was too afraid that someone would find it ridiculous, or unachievable or whatever. But now I think I'm a lot more confident with this idea of a writer and also what it actually means to be a writer. And I mean, I have published things, just not a book yet. Yeah, it was quite early on. It just took a long time until I allowed myself to really hold that thought and believe in it, that it is actually something that I could reach and that is possible. The next question is very beautiful. How do you think we can show young people the joy of reading and break down the intimidation and misconceptions surrounding it? For example, what were the conditions that allowed you to love reading when you were younger? I think the most important thing is just that books and reading is available. Like, going to the library, going to bookstores, maybe having books at home. That's just how it was for me. And I was always surrounded by books. It was very normal seeing my parents read, and they read so many books to me. So it was always a part of our nighttime routine, and that was so special. I think that's a big part of how I started to love reading so much. There are obviously households where the parents don't read as much, and I always think that schools have great potential in opening that world for children, but I think it shouldn't be a forcement. And especially what I think is so vital, if it's parents or schools and teachers, to let the kids choose what they want to read and never give them the feeling that what they choose is lacking in quality. I heard so many times that fantasy isn't real literature, also from professional people in the literary industry, because I started doing writing workshops quite early, and they were usually held by authors or people who were working in the literary industry in some form. And they often gave me that feeling that fantasy isn't real literature and it's not even worth discussing it. I think this is nonsense, and it doesn't help children to find the joy in it when they are being forced to read only classics and only high literature. Give kids the feeling that it's also fine if they are only interested in mangas or comics or romantasy or young adult books or whatever. Just allow them to explore it, and some will find their way to other literature as well, and they will love it. Others won't, which is fine as well. I think that's my take on it. Next question. Do you have any literary text, poem, novel, even just a paragraph or line you reread from time to time, maybe because of its language? I do. It's right behind me, and it is Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart. I love this so much. It's very short, and sometimes I just go to my bookshelf and I start reading it in one go. I love reading it out loud. I love the rhythm and the pacing, the speed and the madness of the character. His thought process is so brilliantly portrayed, so I reread it every once in a while, and I can highly recommend it. Would you indeed like to live for a short period at least in the age of the Austro-Hungarian monarchy? I love history, I love living history and getting a sense of what it might have been like, and if time travel was a thing, I would love to experience the past, not only the Austro-Hungarian monarchy specifically, but many other periods and countries as well. But the thing is, I would only do it if I could go back whenever I want to. I'm very happy to live nowadays, to have all the women's rights that we have today in Austria. I wouldn't want to trade this for anything. I think modern life is quite convenient. So in the historical costuming community, there is this phrase of vintage style, not vintage values. I want to highlight this. I think it's very important. But if time travel was a thing, I would love to go back, see what did it sound like, what did it smell like even, what were people like, what was their language like, what did it sound like. I mean, you can recreate so many things, but only up to a certain point. The next question is, how is your living situation? Thanks to my flatmate for asking this question. I live with my best friend in a shared flat. It is a very beautiful old building. I love it so much. It's very quiet, even though we're in the middle of the city center. I really like living with her. She's my oldest friend. She's not watching my videos though, so I could say something mean as well. No, it's a really nice living situation. My sister asked if I'm filming this with my new microphone. Yes, I am. Shout out to my sister and her husband. Okay, which novel broke your heart and why? There is one book that came to mind that I read when I was a teenager. So it's a book for young adults. I don't remember much, and I have to check what the English title is. Hold on. The book is called Unhooking the Moon, or the German translation is Den Mond aus den Angeln heben, by Gregory Hughes. And I remember reading this book on New Year's Eve. I was listening to a song by Regina Spektor, I think it was Laughing With, and it's the story of two siblings traveling, and they experience some pretty traumatizing events. And the end was so touching and moving that afterwards I couldn't listen to the song by Regina Spektor, because whenever I did, I was transferred back into this story, and it made me cry immediately because it was very intense. And I remember everyone was celebrating New Year's and the world was kind of, happening around me, and I was so immersed in this story. I don't remember how I liked it or if I loved the story. I only know that it really moved me and that especially the ending was very intense to read. Okay, 2 more questions before I'm going to end this little Q&A, but there are so many more questions that I would love to get to, so stay tuned for a part 2. 2 people asked about my English. How did you get this beautiful British accent? And one said, you speak awfully good English. Did you attend a British school or British school curriculum? No, I did not, but my English teacher that I first had was focusing more on British English. And then I only realized this recently that I watched a lot of British YouTubers when YouTube started to become a thing. I think this had a pretty big impact on me. It was people like Zoella and Bertie Bert G and Jack's Gap and Casper Lee. I love to watch their YouTube videos. It was in the early days of when being a YouTuber became a thing, or like an influencer. Bertie Gilbert made some great short movies over the past few years. I still like to watch them whenever something comes out. And they were all from the UK, so I think this influenced me quite a bit. I didn't realize it for quite a long time, and then I was a bit afraid that it would sound weird or like I was trying to mimic it and that it wasn't authentic, but it kind of feels natural to me as far as a foreign language feels natural. But I also think if I spent a lot of time with Americans or Australians or whoever, I would probably adapt to that as well. And it's already a mixture and it would probably become more of that influence then. So yeah. The last question for today is, have you lived in any other European countries? Do you speak any other languages in addition to German and English? Yes, I have. I did an exchange semester in St. Andrews in Scotland, and I must say it was a really difficult time. If you are interested in that journey, you can let me know in the comments and I will do a separate video where I talk about it. Studying in a foreign country was quite an experience, and I do speak other languages. I learned French in school, but I have lost most of it. I only know very few phrases and a few words, but I definitely want to get back into it. And I think if I just spend time and do a language course, it would come back quite easily. And I learned Norwegian, which I do speak a little bit. I can have a conversation only if the dialect of the person isn't too strong, because in Norway they have some crazy dialects and all of a sudden you don't understand a single word. And I love Norwegian so much. I think it's a brilliant language. It's so cute and fun. And when you know German and English, it's quite easy to learn because there are many overlaps and similarities. Before this video gets too long, let's wrap it up. It is time to finish my tea. Thank you so much for being here, for being interested, for leaving comments. This really helps when you interact with the video. If you have more questions, things that you would like to know, just leave them in the comments. And if you have a spare coin, you can also support me financially over on my Ko-fi account. And I hope you have a beautiful time, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye. Okay, several people asked how old I am and whether I'm It's still filming? Yes. Edgar Allan's Doobie doobie boop hooey.